You don't have to move that mountain. Just help me, Lord, to climb it. You don't have to move that stumbling block. Just show me the way around it. We must climb the great high mountain to reach God's precious kingdom. In His will to find your strength in you, but just keep Him. You don't have to move that mountain. Just help me, Lord, to climb it. You don't have to move that stumbling block. Just show me the way around it. Well, the way is filled with pitfalls, and sometimes we may falter. You can't have His grace, my friends, on your knees, down at the altar. But you don't have to move that mountain. Just help me, Lord, to climb it. You don't have to move that stumbling block. Just show me the way. Well, thank you so much, you guys. Thanks so much for being here and for taking time out of your day to be with us. We are the W Duo, as Lindsay mentioned, and we're going to do a little bit of bluegrass, a little bit of folk. As you can see, we have lots of instruments to share with you. And maybe, if you see one that you like, maybe if you come up afterwards, Russell will show you a little bit more about it. So, this is a song that Russell wrote a couple years ago about the 4th of July.
Yes, we actually wrote this on the 4th of July and then performed it that night. Yeah, but this was a song, we were seeing a lot of people just kind of struggling with family situations and whatnot. And we just thought, the best things to fight for are family, right? And so this one's about fighting for your family. It's called Fighting Through.
I hit the road alone this morning on Independence Day. It's not been so easy going since we parted ways. As I think of the night and our perilous fight, I see that our flag is still there. I know where you are, and now I'm going there. They said we wanted by land and do it by sea, but what you won't see coming is little of me. Starting tonight, get ready to fight. This revolution's starting now. I might be pressing my luck, but I'm coming anyhow. 'Cause there's a fire that's burning this 4th of July. Freedom isn't freedom if you're not by my side. Light up the sky, watch fireworks fly, and sing about the red, white, and blue. I got you, and that's worth fighting through. How my tail around, I'm gaining ground. Hear the sound, peace be found. There's a fire that's burning this 4th of July. Freedom isn't freedom if you're not by my side. Light up the sky, watch fireworks fly, and sing about the red, white, and blue. I got you. There's a fire that's burning this 4th of July. Freedom isn't freedom if you're not by my side. Light up the sky, watch fireworks fly, and sing about the red, white, and blue. I got you, and that's worth fighting through. That's worth fighting through. Hey, hey, fighting through. Well, thank you so much. So we know we have a lot of violinists here. Do we have any guitar players on the side? Okay, cool, cool.
How about ukulele?
Ukulele. Maybe out there in Zoomland, maybe there's some. Old tin roof leaves in the gutter. A hole in the screen door as big as your fist lies on the butter. Mama baking sugar cookies. We were watching cartoons. I heard her holler from the kitchen. Which one of you youngins wants to lick the spoon? Yellow jackets on the watermelon, honeysuckle in the air. Daddy turning on the sprinklers, us kids running through them in our underwear. Old dog napping on the front porch, his ears just twitching. I fell asleep on the granddad's lap to the sound of his pocket watch ticking. It doesn't seem like it was all that long ago. Well, you can dream about it every now and then, but you can't go home again. Me and my best friend Jenny set up a backyard camp. So one of Mama's mason jars, broke holes in the lid and made a firefly lamp. Me and Billy Monroe sneaking down by the river, and I'm still haunted by the taste of the kiss I was too scared to give him. It doesn't seem like it was all that long ago. You can dream about it every now and then, but you can't go home again. Well, there's a blacktop road, faded yellow center line. It can take you back to the place, but it can't take you back in time. It doesn't seem like it was all that long ago. But you can dream about it every now and then, but you can't go home again. Old tin roof leaves in the gutter. A hole in the screen door as big as your fist lies on the butter. Well, thanks, you guys. I forgot to mention, or I forgot to ask, do we have any vocalists, any singers out there? Yes, yes. Don't be afraid. Yes, shower singers are awesome. Okay. All right, this is a traditional American tune called Angela and the Baker. Angela and the baker lived in the village green. The way I always loved her beats all you've ever seen. Angela and the baker, Angeline I know, should have married Angeline just 20 years ago. Angeline the baker, age of 43. A beggar sugar candy, but she still won't marry me. Angela sugar candy, but she still won't marry me. Angelina Baker, Angelina, no. Should have married Angelina 20 years ago. Thanks, you guys. So I have to admit, I am an amateur fiddle player. I'm learning, just like you guys. Russell is the pro. You're going to get a taste of what you can do. But I just wanted to let you guys know that when I was your age, I did start learning the violin. But guess what happened? I stopped. I stopped going to lessons. I stopped learning. And I focused more on other things like singing and dancing, which is also good. But I regret stopping the violin. I do, because now we want to make it part of our show and it's really fun, and I love to play the fiddle, but I wish I would have spent more time when I was your age practicing. So there you go, parents, you're welcome. So as I mentioned earlier, we do a lot of bluegrass and folk music, and it's just music that we love. It's music that we grew up with. We also love old time music. And when I say old time, I mean from like the 1920s. And this song is from that era. And if any of you guys know the words to this, feel free to sing along. I put two eyes of blue, but oh, what the fuck you can do? Has anybody seen Monica? Turn up nose, turn down both, flapper, yes sir, one of those. Has anybody seen Monica?
That was banjo, right? Now, banjo don't have a lot to do with other stringed instruments. I mean, you know, they still have frets, right? And they have strings and they have different pitches. Most of these instruments are really closely related in one way or another. Who knows what this instrument is? Usually people say a banjo, but since I just played the banjo, you know better.
Mandolin.
It's a mandolin, right?
Ah, good job.
But wait, this is a
What about
mandolin.
that one? That's a man.
Yeah, this is a mandolin. So what's this huge one? It's a big mandolin. Good job. Also known as an octave mandolin or a bouzouki. That sounds more fun, doesn't it? Bouzouki, yeah.
And guess what? It's tuned the same as a violin.
It is. In this case, it's tuned down an octave from a violin, but you've still got your G strings. And I have two of each string, but you play them both at the same time. So you just put your finger down on both strings. So I have my G strings, my D strings, my A strings, my E strings. And if you were to play this, watch my fingers. Does that look familiar? So it's tuned just like a violin. So if you can play a violin, you can play a mandolin with a little bit of work on your picking probably. But yeah, they're very closely related. So this is an octave mandolin, and we're going to use this to do a song that we wrote. It's called I've Got You.
All I need is one last wave goodbye and a cup of tea to make me wonder why in these dark nights of the soul when it was so bright, why did you go? All I need is you here by my side. Loving eyes and smile as my guide. Will you show me something more? Will you come back through my door? I've got you, like the glistening water slipping through my fingers. I've got you, like a bird when the breeze blows skies on high, like a good dream in the morning, how it lingers. I hang my head and I cry. I've got when the morning comes, you're standing at my door. And I don't mind asking what you come here for. And I see in your eyes what you've been thinking. You ask if I can see a new beginning. But the breeze blows. And I and I know as long as I stand, So we're always talking to our friends and family members and students about the power of music and about how it's not just a fun activity. It is a fun activity for us to do, a fun thing for us to learn, but it enriches our lives. It heals us. It heals other people. It uplifts them. It changes their mood for the better. And I think especially this year with everything that's happening, we've learned that a lot. We've been able to share our music with people that really needed it. This summer we did a concert in the park in Kanab, and I had a lady come up to me and she said, "Thank you so much. I had no idea how much I needed this. I needed live music in my life." And it's true. It's such a powerful tool that we have. So as you're learning, as you're becoming musicians, just know that all of this hard work is not just for yourself. It's so that you can help others, that you can lift others up, and help them have a better day and a better life. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to add to that. You know, music sometimes makes you want to get up and dance, right? Interesting how music and dance are just such a natural part of what it is to be a human, you know? But they really are natural things, and they really do go together. You know, and the power of music to make people want to dance has been well known and documented, and has caused some superstitions where people look at it and they say, this is kind of some strange power that music must have to make people do strange things like dance. So actually, as recently as the 1950s, there have been fiddle burnings where people would toss their fiddles on a fire and burn them because of the supernatural effect they had. And there's actually an old folk tune. We're not going to sing it right now, but you can look it up. It's called "Slip My Mind." Back up and push. And the chorus on that is, or the first verse, did you ever wonder about the riddle? What kind of spirit lives in the fiddle? Is that old Satan right there awaiting, or are you tuned in with the angel band? And this next song is about music and making you want to dance. And this is just kind of a silly song. It's about not being shamed into not dancing. And it's about the idea that, you know, come Judgment Day, that we'll all be dancing as they're playing the trumpets. So we call this Judgment Day.
And Russell wrote it during quarantine. Ain't nobody gonna wear me down, work me up, put me up. Everybody's gonna hear the sound of the drums on Judgment Day. I said, hey, nobody ready for the Judgment Day. I said, hey, nobody ready for the Judgment Day. They say you don't dance, it's the way of sin. Don't begin, I'll take the chance. The old holy Bible gives time to dance, and I'll swing it on my grave. I said, hey, nobody ready for the Judgment Day. I said, hey, nobody ready for the Judgment Day. They say when you swing in these streets, there's going down to hell. But I saw the last night, child last night, and I'll never tell them be-do-be-do-be-do. Ain't nobody gonna wear me down, work me up, put me out. Everybody's gonna hear the sound of the trombone today. Say, hey, nobody ready for the Judgment Day. Hey, nobody ready for the Judgment Day. I said, hey, we'll all be swinging on the Judgment Day. I said, hey, we'll all be swinging on the Judgment Day.
Next up, I want to show you this really special fiddle that I've got right here. Um, so a lot of times instruments have stories, and you can tell me if you think this one's true or not. So this fiddle was built by my great grandfather with a pocket knife. It crossed the ocean, but not in a boat. It made it to the Americas and took a bullet for a man in the Civil War. And then traveled west and got run over by a wagon train. And here it is today, and I've got this fiddle, and it's a precious heirloom, as many instruments are. How many of you have an instrument which was passed down to you? Nobody? You're probably too young for that. You've all got the small violins, right? One day you'll get those expensive ones that someone passed down to you, probably. So I'm going to show you this instrument, and this is a tune, a fiddle tune called Lime Rock. Anyone have some duct tape? It's okay, you can laugh. It's a joke. There's a button on it. You push the button and it falls apart. The truth is that my grandfather did make that for me. He also made my orange violin right there.
That was so fun. The clasp, I always look forward to it. This is a real violin that his grandpa did make for him.
Well, this other one he didn't really make. He bought it from China for about $40. And then he cut the neck in half and put a spring in it and a button. And anyway.
Oh my God. So now I guess we have to share that one because that one's broken.
Yeah, okay.
So we're going to share this one.
Okay, this is one called Dragging the Bow. And there are a lot of ways you can tell the difference between a violin and a fiddle. Do you guys know how you can tell the difference?
Music?
Okay, the music. That's a fair answer, isn't it?
Okay, come on, kids.
What else?
Participate. Throw it out there, little.
I don't think they know. Do you have any guesses? Hmm? Oh, the bow is shorter. Okay, maybe. Yeah. What else? Yes. Tuned is different. Hold on to that thought. Yes. Playing with two strings at once. How good? That's a very good point. Yes. Okay, there's 6 strings on a fiddle. That can be true. Anybody else? Okay, well, we're talking to a classical musician friend of ours, and he told us.
So you guys know Phil?
Do you know Phil? Some of you know Phil. He's been at the Bryce Canyon Music Camp.
He was in there when you guys were there.
Okay, so Phil told us that you can tell by the number of teeth in the musician's head. We told him we thought that the difference was probably the size of the musician's head. The fiddles are meant to be shared, and it's okay to smile when you play the fiddle. Here we go. So now I'll tell you how you really can tell the difference between a violin and a fiddle. First of all, there is no difference. And there are huge differences. So there's an old fiddle tune, and some of you have heard me say this before. How many of you have heard the fiddle tune or played the fiddle tune, Cotton-Eyed Joe? Great. There's a verse in there that goes, cornstalk fiddle and a shoestring bow, gonna play a tune called Cotton-Eyed Joe. And you know, I was actually in a museum once in Mexico, and I saw a cornstalk fiddle. It had one main stalk, and then it had two resonating stalks on the side, and it had one string, and it had a twine bow with it. And I love that because it shows you how important the music was to people. That even in poverty, whatever circumstances they were in, they wanted to make instruments and play instruments. And so that could definitely qualify as a fiddle, although you might not call it a violin. This is a Hardanger fiddle. It's a Norwegian folk instrument. It has 9 strings. Now, some of you have noticed that it only has 4 on the top. However, it has 5 strings that run through the middle of the bridge, through the neck, under the fingerboard, and they pop out up here. And those are sympathetic strings, so they vibrate along with what you're playing. And I don't know how dragging the bow got me out of breath. Sorry guys, I'm short on breath. And so this is a Hardanger fiddle. It's a Norwegian folk instrument, and it's its own thing. Again, you wouldn't call it a violin, but it is a fiddle. Now, I heard some great answers out there. Someone over here mentioned that you tune a fiddle differently. You can, for sure. Sometimes on a violin, you'll do a little different tuning. Usually it's the same, though. On fiddles, there are lots of different tunings. On the Hardanger fiddle, there are over 100 different tunings. And this one, I'm using the most common Hardanger fiddle tuning, which is B, E, B, F sharp, for the over strings, and then the bottom strings, I won't bother telling you what I tune them to. But you still call them G, D, A, and E, and when you read the music, you read it as if it was still a G, D, A, and E, even though it's not. Now, the high 3 strings, if you're observant, you will have noticed each of those is up 1 whole step from a violin, so that's not really too much of a difference to play. But you do have the G string that's tuned up at 2 whole steps. Now, there are other kinds of fiddles out there in the world as well. And it's traditional in a lot of fiddle styles to play more than 1 string at a time. And to make that easier, a lot of fiddles have a flatter bridge. Now, most modern fiddle players in country music don't do anything different to their violin to do fiddle music. It's just the violin. I use the same one in the symphony that I do when I'm playing fiddle shows, usually. Some people do like steel strings on their fiddle just to get that twangy sound, but that's kind of gone out of style too these days. So yeah, so again, the answer is there's no difference, and there are also big differences if you want to be specific. So I'm going to play a little bit on the Hardanger fiddle for you, just to give you an idea of what it sounds like. And first I want to show you the principle of the Hardanger fiddle. So on my other violin, here, can you just play the open A at the microphone? Just give it a good ringing stroke. Okay, now cover the string as soon as you're done playing it. So just go like, and then cover your string. Okay, so it doesn't really ring out, does it? Once you cover the string, it's done. Listen to this. Can you hear how that note just kept ringing anyway? That's because one of these strings down here picked up the vibration of that note and kept playing that sound. So that's what's called sympathetic vibration. So here's a Hardanger fiddle tune for you. This one is called Fausse Agreement. I'll play that one. Fausse Agreement is well, a Fausse Agreement is a spirit that lives in the waterfall in Norway. And if you go to this particular waterfall at midnight on Midsummer Night, and you throw in a leg of mutton, the spirit, the Fausse Agreement, will jump out and teach you how to play the Hardanger fiddle. If you just throw in a bone with no meat on it, he'll teach you how to tune the instrument. And he does that by running your fingers up and down the strings until they bleed, supposedly. One of my favorite woodcuts of a Hardanger fiddle is of a man playing it like this. And on the other side is this devil figure playing it like this. So you've got the two people playing the same instrument. And that's just alluding to what the sympathetic strings are doing and producing tones that aren't necessarily being played by the player. Here we go.
Try counting that one, right?
I won't say that I played it perfectly, but a lot of their pieces have really interesting meters that don't add up the way you expect them to. Where they'll have odd beats in certain measures, and then they do stretched beats. So in any of their tunes that are called springers, the springers like old American waltz, they have an elongated beat. And depending on where you're from in Norway will determine which beat gets lengthened and by how much. So they feel like they're kind of in 5/4 time, but not quite. It's really an interesting experience trying to play their springers well.
Does anybody know what this is? Just yell it out. What is it? Megaphone? Yeah, or a bullhorn. So I'm going to use this on our next song because when Russell wrote it and he showed it to me, I was like, that would sound so cool coming out of like an old radio or a phonograph. And so I found out this kind of creates that old sound, so we're going to use that.
to skip a boring one for you. It's actually a lovely piece, but you're not here to hear lovely pieces, are you?
We do have a couple of videos on YouTube if you want to check us out. We've been trying to get more videos out lately, and we've been pretty good to get them out on a weekly basis. And it's really fun. It's a fun new way to perform during COVID. So look us up, the W Duo on YouTube. This is another traditional song that I'm sure all of you will recognize, but we coolified it and made it a little bit more hardcore.
This is our gunslinger edition
Of Oh Susanna.
Oh, band mic over there. Lindsay gave me this banjo, I think it was 7 years ago now for Christmas. And it's one of those gifts with an obligation, you know, she buys you a nice instrument, you gotta learn how to play it. So.
Yeah. Come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Born to Louisiana, my true love want to see. Rained all night and day I left, the weather it was dry. The sun set high, I froze to death, Susanna, don't you cry. I had a dream the other night when everything was still. I thought I saw Susanna there coming down the hill. What we heard was in her mouth and she was in her eyes. As I'm coming from the south, Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me. But I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Gone to Louisiana, my true love for to see. A quick cake was in her mouth, and she was in her eyes. And I'm coming from the Louisiana, and don't you cry.
All right, I think we're gonna jump ahead another one. This one's what we call the babysitter song. That's not what we call it, that's what the author called it. By Dar Williams, on her album Keen. My guitar is just going out of tune. Really bad, sorry guys.
While he's tuning, shameless plug, I know, but we do have some CDs if any of you guys are interested. With a lot of our music that we played for you here today, $10 a copy.
These are good for putting your cups on.
For good, mug, coasters. They're really good for that.
I think I've seen them under couch legs or something.
But they're fun. It's a fun, it's like a beginning to what we hope to go on to do. We want to record some more, and it's really fun to be able to look back and remember the music that you've learned and created. And we really recommend to all of you students, if you get to a position where you can record, you should do it. Take advantage of that, because then you'll have that forever, and you can show your family and your friends, and it's really fun. Life was just great. She taught us the sign for peace. Now she's made some popcorn, we've turned out the lights, and we're watching movies. I don't understand, and she tries to explain how a spaceship is riding through somebody's brain, and there's blood and guts. She's the best one that we've ever had. She sits on her hair and she's tall as my dad. She tie-dyed my shirt and she pierced her own ear. And it's peace, man, cool. Hey, the babysitter's here. Boyfriend is Tom, but we call him the king of romance. He wears an American flag on the butt of his ripped up pants. And will they get married with kids of their own? She said not if she's going to college. He won't, and he kisses her. I'll have a boyfriend just like that. She's the best one that we've ever had. She sits on her hair and she's tall as my dad. She got mad at dinner when Tom drank a beer, but peace, man, cool. Hey, the babysitter's here. And we all went to watch her go dance at the high school. We made her a big card, and she told us that she'd be the unicorn wearing the pink leotard. There she was, sleeping up just like she said, with a sparkling horn coming out of her head, and she's, oh, I can't wait to get the card. I can't wait to get the card. Okay, so the play was called The Unicorn, and my babysitter was the unicorn, so that means that she was the star. But it's Saturday night, I can't sleep, and we're watching the news. She says, do me a favor, don't go with the guy who would make you choose. And I don't understand, and she tries to explain. All that mascara comes down in her pain, cause she's leaving me. You're the best one that we've ever had. You sit on your hair, and you're tall as my dad. Make you a picture for college next year. So hush now, peace, man, the babysitter's here. The best babysitter's here. We both like spinach, just sometimes, not all the time. Thank you. Okay. This is a song that we put together that we wrote a couple of years ago when we had a really cool opportunity to perform on an old radio show called Life Under the Horseshoe. And it was one of those radio shows that they had like boo and yay, and they had like a guy at a table with shoes making stepping sounds, and it was really cool. It didn't last very long, but we were so excited to be a part of it. So we were like, we need an old style song that's an original of ours. So this is what we came up with. I've lived around these parts for as long as I recall. Things always kind of peaceful until you showed up last fall. You swept me off my feet, then you left me lying flat. Now I ain't got too much use for a man like that. I'll give you half price on my wagon if you don't bring it back. Pack up your belongings in this sweet potato sack. Nothing's hard as a victory like a booze-looking man. You better get on moving while you can. You tried to spoon my sister, now you're saying you want me back. You said your name was Lester, but she tells me that it's Jack. I don't know much about courting, but I'll tell you what I can. There's no room in this town for such a man. I'll give you half price on my wagon if you don't bring it back. Pack up your belongings in the sweet potato sack. Nothing's hard as a victory like a booze-looking man. You better get on moving while you can. You still not get to rigging with your order-lizard smile. Not trying to run in, but you were grinning all the while. I'm trying not to notice how you sure look like a black. You better leave this town and don't look back. I'll give you half price on my wagon if you don't bring it back. Pack up your belongings in the sweet potato sack. Nothing's hard as a victory
let's see. Let's get Lindsay up here. You want to come up? We're gonna make Lindsay play a fiddle tune because I know she can.
We told her, we're gonna get you up here, lady.
Oh,
she's gonna go get her fish.
You can use mine if you want. She's gone.
Lindsay has.
You can come play mine. Oh. Mine. Just wipe all the COVID off of it when you're done. That was not going to work. Takes me about 10 minutes to get that set up every time. Yeah.
This is what we call improv. Trains are big and black and smoky, made of iron, grease, and steel. They're the biggest things in this world. At least that's how it feels. Hey, look over yonder, coming across the fruited plain. Oh, look up yonder, across the amber waves of grain. Yeah, it's that orange blossom special. It's an American train. Hey, listen over yonder and hear that whistle strain. Oh, you can hear those saxons clacking. Oh, what a sweet walking. That is that orange blossom special. It's an American train.
Thank you. And wasn't she incredible? You're such a good sport, too. See, she obviously had never heard our arrangement before, called American Train. And she just jumped right in there and nailed it. So sweet, you can play with us more often.
So fun. Thank you.
We've got one more for you. Why don't you tell them about it?
All right, yeah, one more for you. Like Lindsay mentioned before, we have 4 kids of our own, and we've spent many a night reading bedtime stories to them. And we decided to take some of our favorite stories about growing up in the mountains, and we put them to a song. And one of the stories is When I Was Young in the Mountains. The second one is Mama Had a Dancing Heart. The third one is Fiddle and Sam. And so we took those stories and put them into this song about playing the fiddle and dancing.
Call this Young in the Mountains.
My grandpa came home, kissed my brow. Grandma, you can be thankful. I won't eat powder even now. Raising high, raising high, high to tune up feelings. Raising high, raising high to tune up feelings. My mama had us dancing. She shared that heart with me. The lean and giggle and stomp and smoke. Harmonies and mama would sing. Raising high, raising high. High to tune up dancing. Raising high, raising high. High to tune up dancing. My daddy played a line with he'll teach me to play someday. When he's from town, all the folks would gather round. Imagine you'd hear the preacher sing. Raising high, raising high, raising high, raising I was young and I never wanted to sail to the sea. I never wanted to travel to the desert. The mountains were home for me. Let's hear it. Raising high, raising high, high to the tune of the dancing. Raising high, raising high, high to the tune of the dancing. Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for having us. This has been so fun. What a delight. Thank you guys. Have a great evening. Thank you so much. You just have so many fans here in Cedar City. We are all going to go home and push like on their YouTube channel, right, guys? So let us know when you're coming to Cedar and we'll send out the word. Every time you come to record. All right, thank you everyone so much for being here for this awesome concert. We're looking forward to such a great semester at Suzuki Strings.